Hi everyone, welcome to my new series of Surviving and Thriving in the Holidays. So, I'm going to be touching on a lot of subjects in the next few weeks, but to get you to a place of feeling like not only can you survive the holidays, but thrive and learn some tools and techniques that can help you stay grounded, happy, aware, and in a state of joy, or even manage those more challenging moments. So, today we're going to look at what is holiday burnout and how to prevent it. I thought to start with burnout because actually before we even get to December, many people are either in jobs that are incredibly stressful or just stressful lives. We've got multiple demands on our time. And I have done previous videos on burnout with another clinician, Suzanne, where we looked at that in more detail about how we'd both experienced burnout in the workplace. But even if most of the time you're healthy, happy, and thriving, the December period can bring on those extra stressors, as I highlighted in that introduction video. So if you've not seen it, you'll see kind of how I'm approaching it. So, what is holiday burnout? So, um, what we're talking about is something that, like I said, lots of people don't realize or recognize until they already get to an overwhelmed state. So, if I approach everything that we're talking about as a continuum, that here on this end of the continuum, and this is the line, here we're okay, we're doing okay. It might be survival, it might be that we're just getting by every day. And we move across a continuum. Here is crises, overwhelm. Things have got too much. Our mental health is being severely negotiated or hijacked. In the middle, we've got, before we get from here to here, we've got these points of time or experiences that, when we pay attention to them, can give us some idea as to what's happening to us and how we're going to manage for the rest of that day, the week. And if you're already moving into stress and the stress is affecting your capacity to work, your functioning, and the things are feeling like they're getting on top of you, if when you start approaching this end, you really do need to get some support and help, because we can move back down the continuum with some tools and techniques. If you've got multiple things affecting you to do with finances, housing, moving, relationships that are breaking down, we know in psychology they are the top stressors. Moving, getting married, getting divorced, illness, a loved one dying, all top stressors. So if they're already going on, December period can also magnify that. So people can be feeling overwhelmed, but you may have some tools in your toolbox, and you're managing that. You've got someone supportive to talk to, whether it's a partner or a manager. You've reduced your work hours, or you're going for massages, going for a swim, walking, burning off some of that excess stress out of the body. But holiday burnout isn't just about feeling tired. It's a mix of emotional exhaustion, mental overload, and heightened stress, and a sense of being pulled in different directions. And I've certainly been there on several occasions. So you might notice that your patience is thinner, that you're saying yes when your body's saying no. Sleep is disrupted and you're restless and you're overthinking small things. You feel the heaviness in the moment that you open the calendar, or even open your eyes when you're meant to get out of bed. We just simply feel done. And it's only mid November or even early December. When it comes to saying yes when your body's saying no, not everybody's great at tuning into their body and working out what a yes and no really feels like, because there's all sorts of things that can interfere in our ability to make decisions, and lack of sleep, lack of hydration, and overwhelm will definitely interfere in that. But sometimes it's very simple things that we have to learn to practice. Um, do I want a sandwich or a protein shake for lunch? Do I want to go to the gym or swimming or rest? And tuning into the body and trying to work out what it needs. But if we're in a constant state of overwhelm, crises, or drama, the signals get harder to read and we push our body over the limit. And there's a biological, psychosocial, sociological physiological process that's going on at the time. And I know that in my periods of burnout, specifically the one that I had around, I think it was around 2015, there was a range of events that sort of just tipped me over the edge. But I was already tired. I wasn't sleeping well. I was only probably getting about 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I was waking up thinking about the emails and the report I had to write, and then getting into work, writing the reports in my head on the way to work. And so many people have been there in that space. And that was before I learned the tools and techniques in to compartmentalize and defrag and put things down. But regardless of whether that's work, you can have the shopping list in your head while you're packing the bags, or your kids to go to school and it's Tuesday, you need their reading book, and you've got an elderly parent and they need things. And so all of that can feel like it's coming in. So that's why having some tools to manage how you experience that and that information is really vital. So, burnout, like I said, can show up as irritability, numbness, resentment. And when it gets to resentment, we know it's been burning like a little flame in the background for a while. And it says, I can't do this again this year. So, the good news is you can prevent it and you can delay it, or even recalibrate and get back to a better space. But it takes practice. Everything I do, I've had to practice. I haven't mastered the art of everything. I'm not sure I've mastered the art of anything, but I'm much better at managing things than I was definitely a decade ago, or even a few years ago. So the first one, especially with decisions and you're not sure what you want, is not to always make decisions in overwhelm. Sometimes we have to, and to have a 60-second pause. So I've been teaching this to some of my clients who are spending time back with families, either because they finish studying or they're going back for the holidays. And you can be with family members and cope so far, and sometimes feel that you're getting triggered and you want to interject or say something. And pausing for 60 seconds, placing your feet on the floor, taking in a deep breath before you even get to the dinner table or to the living room or wherever it is you're meeting them. Grounding yourself, which literally means imagine taking your awareness down from your head to your feet, and even having a short walk if you can, noticing the weight of your body, and then giving yourself a minute for your nervous system to reset. And when you start that process, say you did that now, and you think 60 seconds, what's 60 seconds going to do? Just take that pause, take that breath, and focus on your breath. And if it's hard because you've still got a lot of things going around in your head, put your hand on your heart, because that awareness takes you to your heart center. And practice that 60-second pause throughout your day now, so that when you need it more, you can connect with it much quicker and you've already practiced it. So throughout the day, practice doing 60-second pauses. You get an email, Bob wants his report yesterday. You're stressed because you've got multiple demands. Practice pausing for 60 seconds. Sometimes in those scenarios, you need a walk, you need to go and have a coffee, you need to chill out for like 5-10 minutes. But the 60-second pause starts the process. Then it's about having micro boundaries. Say no to one small thing this week. So if you're not used to saying no, do you want coffee or tea? Or do you want a coffee? No. Do you want a water? Yes. They seem insignificant, but sometimes we've got to practice doing things that we're not used to doing, and it's easy to do it in small chunks. Your friend wants to ring you up at 9 o'clock. Normally you're really tired, and you might say, "Oh, just this one time," and then regret it afterwards because now you're incredibly fatigued. And you say no, or we can talk before 6 o'clock or at 6, and then I need to have some me time in the evening. And it's micro boundaries, the small things that we don't always pay attention to, that can make a big difference. And then creating a to-list method. So write down everything you think you should do this month, and then you compartmentalize that for each week. And then a list of items that really align with your values. And I'm going to go more into these things in the other videos, because it takes a while, if you're not used to these methods, to sort of hear it and understand it and then think, okay, how can I use that? How will that help? I know the more stress I get, the more lists I write. So, it's worth just noticing what you already do to manage your stress.